Good gosh. Yeah, same old shit. I'm tired, I'm beat, I got no time. There, I got that out. I went down the list of what I got on right now, got going on it. You would commit me, and the people in the white jackets would come and get me. If I had $5 for every friend of mine that was pissed off at me right now because I haven't been texting or emailing or calling, I'd probably be doing all right. But it's like I ran into an old friend of mine, haven't seen him in 20 frickin' years, gave him my cell number the other day, and to explain to him, look, there's no proper cell service at home, and I'm usually not within cell range, and I don't have time. And that was only a week ago, and sure enough, I was off the coast working on my boat, couldn't fix it. No service at the dock where I stay, no service at the dock where the boat is. I'm hammering away on the boat, and I finally get into service. I'm trying to get caught up, and I get nothing but hate mail because I'm a dick, because I'm not answering texts. Whatever, there's a small rant. I just don't have time, but it's coming. I am getting crazy amounts of things done. The amount of things I have planned to come is insane, but they're coming. The amount of emails, I haven't made time to crack open some emails lately with the new phone, so I've got the new emails going onto this phone, and the other phone's kind of checked out on me, but if I position a charge cord just in the right position, it'll charge up again, and then I can get back at all the other emails that I have on that phone to get out, and all the knowledge to get out, and the words to get out to you guys. But I went through some emails last evening when I got home from the coast, and there's some amazing things being shared. Amazing. I haven't quite had time to reply to many of the ones that I feel are absolutely important and need to be replied to right away. I need to stay in contact with, and people I need to speak with on behalf of us, and they need to be heard. And the lineup, the crowd, the crew of people that we are accumulating here is amazing to me. And I know you haven't read all the emails that I've received, you don't hear all of them yet, but you will. I'm really, really tired right now, so I might not make sense a little bit here. Apologize ahead of time. As you know, I don't script or practice anything. But what do we got? What's the date today? The date is the 19th. I won't tell you what I got on the go, what I have to do in the next few days, but it's crazy. But anyway, getting on with things. I'm babbling like a frickin' moron here. Recently I had somebody, I forget who, told me that one of the big names in the Bigfoot Sasquatch community mentioned that he would like to meet up with me. And I'm going to share with you a small story first so I get my point across clearly, so I don't come across as some kind of a prick. Obviously, I don't really give a shit how I come across most of the time, because if you know who I am, you know there's no bullshit, right? But let me tell you a story. Years ago, I made myself as a dual-ticketed journeyman tradesman, and I had quit contracting and went to guiding full-time for both sports fishing and big game. That's how I was going to try to make my year. And lo and behold, somebody from Whistler, British Columbia, big international ski destination, celebrity playground, somebody got a hold of me to come up there and run a job for them. Meanwhile, it was booming. It was absolutely booming there. I didn't want to contract again because it sucked. Just great money, but that's not the motivator for me, so I just didn't want to do it. But then I realized how beautiful it was there, the amount of work. It was all brand new construction and lots of money. And I eventually started subcontracting to a couple of different characters up there, and I realized nobody in my trade had trade tickets at that time. It was amazing. And I realized I could have made a killing if I felt like it, if I started contracting again for myself. And then eventually it did slide, a couple years of that did slide into it, and one of the people who I subcontracted to the odd time didn't have that great of a reputation in the community, but he boasted that he had been doing this for 25 years in Whistler. And from what I saw, if you had been doing any trade in Whistler for 25 years, you are going to be a very rich man and should have retired a long time ago if you were any good. So anyways, this guy realized that I was going to go on my own, and he wanted me to go into business with him. Now this is where I'm going to get the point across to you guys that I'm about to make. So what did I say to him? Okay, now you're talking business. So now when you talk business, it's not about feelings. It's about facts and business. Facts. So I looked at him and I said exactly what I just said to you guys. I said, hey, you've been contracting here for how long? 25 years? He goes, yeah. and you still owe a lot of money, you're in debt, you don't have that big of a you're losing your clientele, regular phone numbers, and you're living in a box above your shop. So for me, no, you are not the guy I want to go in business with. You've been at this 25 years and you suck. There you go. Straight up, straight to the point. Now the point I'm going to make about this potential big name in the Bigfoot Sasquatch world wanting to meet up with me, why? Why would I do that? Why do I say that? Because all of the so-called big names in the Sasquatch Bigfoot community, look what they've created. They've done well for themselves, right? Would this person want to meet up with me if I only had 250 followers? Highly unlikely, right? What do we got? Close to 250,000. My two channels combined, 7 million hits a month without trying to market it, without promoting myself and doing the podcast circuit, which I refuse to do because it's not about me. Why do people want to meet up with me now? Why didn't they want to meet up with me 5 years ago? Why didn't they want to meet up with me when I only had 200 followers? Right? Because it's the exposure. It's very appetizing looking now, right? Prove me I'm wrong. And furthermore, as far as I'm concerned, 95% of the so-called big names in the Sasquatch Bigfoot community have helped annihilate the topic and annihilate the credibility. They've made it about themselves. They've repeated themselves for years in front of that camera. They've tried as hard as they can to get as much camera time as they can. They've charged people exuberant amounts of money to be on their documentaries. They've charged people exuberant amounts of money to go camping with them and be on films. Right? Excuse my language, but what the fuck do I want to meet up with one of those people for? Think about it. They're representing themselves. They see an opportunity for themselves. They see exposure for themselves, to promote themselves, using this topic to promote themselves. This topic has gone nowhere in 25 years. I don't give a shit who you are, what you say. David Platt, Scott Carpenter, a handful of others, they obtained over 100 DNA samples of these things. End of story. Got kicked the fuck out of the scientific community. Anybody who tackles that in the scientific community gets their career annihilated. Okay, I'm starting to get a little pissed off and carried away here. I apologize for that. I don't apologize for my words. I don't apologize for the stance and what I'm trying to get across to you guys. The people who have hoored themselves out to the camera have created what is mainstream today when it comes to this topic. It's a frickin' joke. Ghoulish, monster-themed thumbnail photos or thumbnail photos for TV shows or for videos on YouTube. Eerie, spooky music. Right? Thousands of voices have been shut down and suppressed from speaking due to these people. The majority of them, 95% of them. Prove me I'm wrong. Right? So anybody out there who thinks you have a name in the Bigfoot Sasquatch community and you think that you need to hook up with me, think again. I represent the people. This channel is for the people, by the people. It's about the people. It's not about single people. I don't give a shit how much of an expert you think you are, or how many doctorates you have, what education you claim to have acquired in a concrete box, which is known as a classroom. I'm about the people who live their true, honest lives in the real world, which is behind me. The real world. And I'm about every single voice who's been laughed at, every single voice has been ignored, every single voice has been ridiculed, and that's what this channel is about. And nothing less, nothing more. Alright? How's that for an overtired rant? Getting myself a little excited there. But think about it. Oh, it'd be so great to see you and so together in front of the camera. What for? What for? To promote them? To promote their faces? To hear them repeat themselves yet again? The same song and dance they've been delivering to the people through the video camera for the last 20 years, which hasn't changed shit. Which obviously, now that this channel's come forward, it's made people, this channel's making people come forward for the first time ever and share what they know and what they've seen, what happened to them. Why is that? Why is that? It's because all the so-called big names in the so-called Sasquatch Bigfoot community have made a mockery out of the topic, and they've kicked those people aside because, well, no, the camera's about me. We don't need to hear from them. Oh no, they seen something that I don't want to talk about or acknowledge, so let's keep all those people stuck in the shadows. Right? That's what's happened. That's why this channel's popular, because it's for the people about the people. End of rant. Endo rant. I pity, in a way, I potentially pity any so-called Bigfoot, Sasquatch community member, expert, or celebrity that decides they need to come up and have a conversation with me in public. You probably don't want to do that. All right, here we go. Onward, back to the people. I just wasted enough time again on the wrong topic, on the wrong characters. Back to the people, and here we go. Yeah, I'm in one of those moods. It's one of those I don't give a shit moods. When I get reminded of it's just the amount of blatant craziness going on the planet today, the amount of bullshit I've had up to the nuts with it. I'm surrounded by it. I can't wait to expose a shitload of it to you. I can't wait to give as many people a voice as I can and have the correct people in front of the camera. Tell them the truth and all. I can't wait. The amount of work I'm putting forward to blow this shit the fuck up is crazy. You know, I don't give a shit if I'm dropping F-bombs today either. Grandson sighting, Mount Shasta. Dear Steve, first a big thank you for all you're doing to shed light on the subject. You're helping so many people. In 2017, I took 3 of my grandkids camping at Siskiyou Lake at the base of Mount Shasta, ages 12, 11, and 9. My 12-year-old grandson asked if he could sleep in his hammock next to our tent, and I told him yes. Now mind you, at this time I had very little knowledge of these beings. That all changed on our second night. At about 2 a.m., I woke to him yelling for me. I flew out of the tent and he's pointing and saying, "Look, look." All I can see was something very tall with long dark hair walking away at a pretty good clip as it disappeared into the woods. I couldn't really wrap my head around that and just kept thinking, that was no bear. Thankfully the next day was our scheduled day to head back and opt to leave earlier. Just watched your latest video titled Angry and a Warning. Props for calling out the mainstream media. They just spew lies, hate, and bullshit. I quit a time ago. I do my own research and truth-seeking. I, for one, am so grateful for all the knowledge and experiences you share. Keep up the great work. I know you're helping thousands, if not more, people. Congrats to you and Sarah for the new digs. Signed, from behind enemy lines in California, Kim Hopkins. Feel free to use my name if you wish. Kim, appreciate the kind words, the supportive words, and keep in mind, every single human being, including you, that shares here through me is who's helping the people. All right? I've just kicked open this door wide, and I will guard it with a ferocity when I have to. And but it's all the people that are sharing is who is helping the people. It's every single one of us is helping each other equally here. That's the way it should be. Think about the power that comes from that, right? Think about it. Steve, I'm on your wavelength and I feel your frustration with several issues, including the drip feeding of such bullshit from our nation's politicians. I have a strange experience to share, and then, if I may descend into a bit of a rant, this is a good day for it. Let her rip, my friend. Oops. Just about screwed that up. Hold on a second. I better mark that as red. And then we're going to get into some good old-fashioned ranting. I love rants, and I love people who don't give a shit, because they're the most honest ones you can find. So you let her rip. I have a strange experience to share. Okay, there, I read that. I've never told anyone about this, and it's only since I come across your channel that I feel comfortable doing so. Just like many others, my friend. Just like many others. I served 23 years in the Royal Marines and left in 2011. During that time, I served in various places, including Bosnia, Iraq, and Afghanistan, twice in 2006 and 2009. Saw some real shitty things, but that's another story. My experience is back in '96. There was a huge joint UK/US training exercise on the east coast of the US. We were based out of Camp Lejeune in North Carolina. We began the training exercise with a big amphibious landing on Onslow Beach, then gradually moved inland. It was a few nights into the exercise, and there was a number of us moving somewhere on foot for most of the night, and we went to ground and were stationary for a while. And when we went to ground and were stationary for a while, I sat on a sandy bank which rose up behind me to an area of scrubland covered in low bushes which were at about my shoulder height. As I was sat there, I remember smelling something quite strong, like a sulfurous, pungent smell. I put it down to me smelling myself as we'd been out in the field for a few days. I then remember looking over my right shoulder, and out of the corner of my eye, something extremely large, only 10 feet behind me, quickly moved away, which startled me. I rose up to my knees and turned around, only to see another one run away from behind where I was kneeling. I have no idea what I saw, but they appeared white or light color. I only saw them from the back as they ran away. They looked very big, and at the time immediately reminded me of something like a huge square man. But it's the way they moved that creeped me out, and I can't really explain it by writing. Whatever they were both the same type of thing. I didn't see any other features as it was dark and probably about 0100, and they were both big and fast. Shortly after this, we got the signal to move off, so we were in a different area by daylight. There were other people in the vicinity, but I don't think anyone else saw anything, and I didn't say anything to anyone and never have. It was somewhere in North Carolina on the Lejeune training area. I'm not sure if it's Sasquatch related or something else weird, but I will say 100% that it wasn't part of the exercise, and they were too big and fast to be people, and how they moved was too weird. That's the thing that was creepy, is how they moved. This experience has stuck with me for so many years, and I've never spoken about it to anyone, as I wouldn't really know where to start. I've done so much digging, but can't really find anything similar to relate it to. Anyway, as promised, there is a bit of a rant to follow. As previously mentioned, I spent 23 years in the British Royal Marines. I've been all over, Steve, and I've seen some real awful shit. But my real concern is what the F is going on at the minute. The world seems to be batshit crazy at the minute, but I will mainly concentrate on the UK. There's so much I could cover, but for time's sake, I will presently present my ramblings in short bullet points. I'm all ears, and I'm ready to hear it. Our politicians are privately educated, self-serving, lying snakes that continuously drip feed a fake bullshit narrative to the general public on a daily basis. Agreed. 70-year-old ex-servicemen are being prosecuted for events that happened 50 years ago, whilst IRA terrorists walk our streets free from persecution. So frustrating. We have paid France more than 63 million lira? Or is that euros? To contain the illegal migrant crisis. Most of them have traveled all the way from Syria to get to the UK, yet the French Navy escort hundreds of small inflatable rafts into our waters every month, only to be greeted by UK border force. Thousands of illegal immigrants are kept in 5-star hotels at the taxpayers' expense. Holy shit, maybe I should try to do a little holiday in the UK via that route. I'm sure you're aware of the situation in Afghanistan. We, the UK, have just agreed to accept 20,000 refugees, all at the taxpayers' expense, when homeless veterans are camped out in tents outside council offices trying to get housing. We got the same disgusting things going on here in our country with our shitbag so-called leader, who's actually a pickle, who flat out said to a veteran to his face, Canada doesn't have enough money for you right now. A disabled veteran. So there you go, we're in the same boat. These so-called asylum seekers come here unchecked with no ID documentation or passports. No one has a clue who these people are, and they roam the streets of the UK as more of them come. That's frustrating. Only bad things will come of this, Steve, and I no longer feel safe in the country I fought for. It's like an invasion, and all from countries that harbor extreme Islamic fundamental views. Finally, our future is in the hands of our youth, yet they are like zombies, hardly able to speak to you face to face, whilst they have either a phone or tablet glued to their heads. This is probably the third generation of lazy, entitled brats that feel like the world owes them something. There are bad times ahead. Something bad is brewing. God help us all, Steve. I'm happy to follow up this email with a phone call if you need clarification on anything. Big fan of the channel and what you're doing, Steve. Watch your back out there and stay safe. Please don't reveal my name should you read this out on the channel. All the best. Okay, my man. I'll check the beginning. Didn't read your name. All right, there we go. All right, thanks for that email. Thanks for the rant. Appreciate it. If I can offer up a place for people to get honest words out, give her. It is very obvious to the educated, to the aware, people that are educated by the real world, mind you, is very, very apparent. It's very clear that there is crazy shit going on right now. What do we do? What do we do? We locate and find, we maintain contact with confident, aware, smart people, leaders, not sheep. We find those people who speak the honest truth, and we somehow ensure that we can keep in contact with them. That's what we do. That's what we can do right now, and we grow and we grow and we grow. And finally, hopefully, someday, somewhere, someone rises up who has the better interest of the people and the planet, and they slowly begin to lead the way, pave the route to getting rid of the tyranny, to getting rid of the crazy ass shit that's going on, and get every single human being back on track at looking out for each other more than looking out for how to make a dollar off each other, right? Anyway, I gotta get back to Sharon. Keep emailing me again, all right? Just keep these things are bent to rat shit. If you got anything else that you feel you want to get off your chest or share with the people that's going to help the people, you make sure you email me and you stay in touch, okay, man? And thanks for that, Sharon. Florida encounter. Hey, Steve, prefer not to have my name mentioned. Thanks. No problem. I'm here in southeast part of Florida. I can get into the Everglades easy. It connects to the Big Cypress Preserve. I ride a gravel bike, and we tend to ride our bikes for distances and explore. It's like a road bicycle, but for off-road. I ventured into the Florida woods, pretty for about 25 miles and very remote. There is nothing out there, and I was planning another 15 miles in before turning back to where I parked my car. On the trail, I saw this wood plank bridge / path to my left, which crossed over a waterway about as wide as an Olympic pool. I ran down it, where it ended at the wood line, just because it was so weird, not a place, and seemed like a cool place to chill for a few and relieve my bladder. At the end of the path, there's no exit. It's blocked by wood and goes right up onto the thick brush. You can't see through it, and there are some really big trees too. There was water, but probably 2 inches deep max. This bridge / path was about 2 feet higher than the ground. I peed, and as I finished, there was a scream to my front left that was so loud I still get chills thinking about it now. I felt the scream in my bones. I froze in total fear. It was effing scary. It was not a human, a bird, a pig, a big cat, or anything else I could think of. It was just so powerful. My calves shook. The hair stood up, and I held my breath. I didn't move. There was a large tree that shook, not violently, but like back and forth for a bit, and then to my direct front, I heard a slap / thud. And then to my front right, a respond slap thud. It sounded like someone slapping their chest with a fist. Then I heard footsteps from directly in front of me. Then the front right. It was like, take 3 steps, stop, slap. It was 100% communication and felt strategic coming towards me. The initial scream and slaps were at best 4 car lengths away from me. I slowly turned my bike around, got my leg over the top tube, and clipped in and sprinted like my life depended on it. I never looked back. I made the hard right back onto the trail where I came from and never stopped pedaling as hard as I could. I fully expected to be grabbed from behind. This all happened last year during the height of the pandemic. I've not been back in the woods since, over a year now, and I won't go. I won't go alone, if I ever do go again. To be clear, yes, the first thing I thought of was, holy shit, Bigfoot. I didn't see anything, but what I heard gave me nightmares for months. Thank you for your channel and amazing backdrops. Thanks for sharing that, and I hope it helps getting it off your frickin' chest. And I'm going to tell you, you've heard me tell other people, is just try not to let it ruin it for you, all right? I know it's tough, but if you would, bring a friend, but just go in, take baby steps, test the waters. I still go to places where I've heard them. I go to places where I've seen footprints. Admittedly, okay, the first time I went back to where those 2 were beating on the trees above me, the first time I went back in there was when I shared going back in there with you guys the video, when I went into where the stand was and I left that trail camera, which I still haven't been back to get. In Arkansas, Northeast Connor. Now to the meat. When I was a young child, in about 1968, We were poor and had no indoor john. Well, my middle brother was 11 and it was dark. He was scared of the dark. So my dad made my oldest brother, 14, go with him to take a poop. Now where the outdoor john was. Dad had made a chicken house out of green lumber. So chicken house and behind it, the crapper was there, and behind John was where we threw away cans of garbage to be discarded. Okay, now the two boys was in the john and my middle brother was taking care of business. Then they heard something rummaging through the trash pile, slinging cans everywhere. Scared my middle bro couldn't poop, he said he had to shine the flashlight to feel safe. He cracked the door and shined the light. There was something standing on 2 feet upright like a human. It was covered in black-looking hair. When the light hit this thing, he began to run away fast. It went around the chicken house and grabbed the corner of the chicken house with one hand. This thing laid 4 claw or fingernail marks in this green lumber, a 1/4 inch deep. We had 2 coonhounds and one was Mean Dog. It would kill man or beast that came in our yard. The dog was under the house whining like a scared pup. Dad took a Stevens crack shot 22 and went out to have a look. He was nuts. Single shot 22, no light, and his man-eating dog under the house whining scared to death. Luckily he saw nothing. I saw the scratch marks the next day. Well, after watching videos, and we all now know what this thing was. Also, we had a few beats around then, but none ran on 2 legs and also we have a few probably bears around then, but none ran on 2 legs and never moved that fast. Sabe Bigfoot, I'd have to say. No doubt. No doubt. Thanks for finally sharing that shit and doing it right here, man. Alright? As you always hear me say, if you hear knowledge that we need to have, get it to me. My knowledge you asked about. Want me to share. Alright. Robert Duvall. Okay, that's a familiar name. We just heard from you recently. Steve, experiences only tell us so much. We then go to the accounts of others. But at some point, to understand this matter, one has to look elsewhere, because the answers are not in the experiences. And so I did what I did as a UFO researcher. I went to the historical record. The answers are there. The reasons we are told what we are told today. The narratives are wrapped up in history. I know for a fact you've had many aha moments. Clarity just comes all at once. This is what I experienced and verified with Sasquatch. I have over 20 years of historical research. Never even thought about Sasquatch until 4 years ago. Seriously. And that people become the catalyst for all of my historical research. If you want me to share it, it'll not be by emailing you my experiences. It'll be through conversation, sharing of the historical story. It tells us why things are the way they are today. It tells us who they are. The ball's in your court. I can answer your questions, just not through the forum you have set up for sharing accounts. That is not what this is about. Rob Duvall. Okay, my man. Well, we'll see how it goes. I don't have time. I just don't have time right now for much, but it's coming. And yeah, I want to have those conversations with you and many others, and we will have those conversations, alright? Just be patient, don't let me forget. Possibly bug me if I don't come after you in the future, the near future. I figure a couple more, 2.5 months, I'll still be sharing, but I should get caught up. Alright, one more, I gotta get going, you guys, alright? Spot on description. Hi Steve, just wanted to share a quick experience with you. I just finished watching your video from 8/18/2021 titled Angry and Warning. I share your mistrust for government, but what stuck out the most was your warning that if we experience certain things out on the trail that we should just turn around and leave. Your description was spot on, with something I'd experienced one day just a few months ago. I work on a ranch in southeast Washington State. Every year we take livestock, horses and cows, up into the mountains for summer pasture. Before we can put the animals up on summer pasture, we have to go check the fence line and repair any holes. A few months ago, 3 of us went up to plug the holes and make any necessary repairs to the fence line. Being the youngest, I volunteered to walk a particular stretch of fence that where the slope was fairly steep and the brush was thick. While I was doing that, the other two would drive up to the top of the mountain and down the next ridge over. As I was walking up, I saw about a third of the way up the next ridge that some trees, about 3 to 4 inches in diameter, were bent over enough to look like arches, almost as if it was or would be a shelter. My mind tried to reason it away, but I'm still a little unsure of exactly what caused those trees to bend towards each other. The wind wouldn't make them bend towards each other like that. I had a job to get done, so I put the trees out of my mind and continued on. I could see my 2 co-workers on the next ridge over and hearing them hammering. That's important because as I was crossing through the canyon, following a game trail between the 2 ridges, I came to a spot where I had to cut my way through some of the brush. I'm 6'4" and can't fit in some of the brush the wildlife could fit through. After I made a tunnel that I could pass through, standing up, I continued on, following the game trail. I came up to a section where the game trail dog-legged to the right and out of sight. It was at that point that I heard rustling in the brush, just out of my view around the dog-leg in the trail. The noise I heard changed from rustling to footsteps, and the footsteps weren't going away from me like wildlife normally would. They were getting closer to me. Not charging at me, just steadily moving toward me. It was all I could hear too. No birds, no insects, no hammering or talking from my co-workers. Nothing but the sound of footsteps moving my direction. All while that was happening, I became overwhelmed by a feeling of absolute terror. I'm not a stranger to fear and was prepared for any sort of predatory wildlife, and then some. I worked in law enforcement for several years and have been out overseas with other work adventures and felt fear several times, but I've never felt terror like I did at that point. I've been within 25 meters of black bear sow with cubs and didn't feel that terror. Plus, they didn't move towards me, they moved away. Fortunately, I was able to calm myself and gather my wits about me. I began talking out loud to whoever was there, saying, "I'm just passing through, and I don't mean you any harm." While I was talking, I began slowly backing out of there the way I had come, fighting the urge to turn around and run as fast as I could. After I made it to a clearing, I made my way up and around the long way to my co-workers. I was still shaken and confused by what had happened when I found my co-workers still hammering away repairing the fence. They both looked at me with concern and frustration and asked me where I'd been. They said they had been calling for me. That raven doesn't want me to frickin' speak, does it? Interesting. Just going to see if he only cawed when I spoke. They said they'd been calling for me and were about to go look for me. I never heard them calling for me, even though, with the exception of when I was in the thicket with whatever was there, I could either see or hear them the whole time I was making my way up toward them. I didn't tell them what happened because I knew that their reaction would be. Plus, I wasn't sure what happened myself. Why did I feel such terror without having any observable threat? I couldn't see or smell anything that resembled an imminent threat. Why couldn't I hear my coworker calling for me even though we were definitely within earshot, but hear footsteps walking toward me? Were the bent over trees connected? A logical mind has tried to explain it all away, but the pieces haven't really fit together too well. This is until I watch your YouTube video. Now for me, there are more possibilities that do fit. I'm not willing at this point to say with conviction that I had a Bigfoot experience, but I can't rule it out either. I know in your previous years there have been 3 documented Bigfoot sightings, according to the BF blah blah O, or whatever that's worth, within 5 miles of where I had my unconfirmed experiences. Thank you for all you do, Steve. Keep up the fight. Uncle Sam. Alright, man. Thank you so much for that share. I absolutely appreciate it. I have a funny feeling that your guts already told you what it is, otherwise you wouldn't have emailed me, right? But anyway, keep us updated if anything else happens. If you got knowledge for the people can benefit from, send it to me. Now, on a side note to all of you, I feel confident that I think I read everything fairly smooth. I'm not going to go back and re-listen to my rant and edit anything out because I don't give a shit. Take it or leave it. Do with it what you will or leave it, right? But I don't have any time to do any editing. So I'm going to take this straight back to the editing program, stuff it in there, export it, and drop it publicly. And there you go. Share the shit out of it. And if you want. Or not. And I will be back tomorrow. I will be here again where I can email and read a pile of emails and get those voices heard and get them out to you to be heard. And we're gonna get every single voice heard. Nobody counts more than the people. Nobody, right? We're all equal. And this is all by us, for us, right here. No special celebrities. Celebrity world, oh my God. I'll be back shortly.